Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. Our guest today is the Foreign Minister of Iraq, Fuad Hussein. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Minister, you're wrapping up a visit to several European countries. You've had discussions with your counterparts here, and on top of the agenda was, of course, the security situation in Iraq. There's a big new factor, the withdrawal of many US troops. We're winding down to 3,000 troops at the end of this month. Are you concerned about a security void in Iraq and an ISIS comeback?
We are concerned about the security because ISIS activities is there, and in some areas it increased. But with the cooperation with many other countries, and we have got experience in fighting ISIS, our forces, the army, Peshmerga, popular mobilization, the security service, all we got different experience in fighting ISIS. So we are sure that we can defeat ISIS, but still we need cooperation with many other countries, especially in exchanging intelligence information about ISIS, because ISIS is not a local or national organization. It is an international organization. It has got roots and supports from many other places, and ISIS has extended. It's not only in Iraq, it is in Syria, but in some also North African countries.
Right. According to the UN, there are an estimated 10,000 ISIS fighters in Syria and Iraq. Are those figures the ones you have?
I think there are more. Perhaps there are 10,000 fighters, but if we are talking about ISIS sleeping cells and supporters of ISIS, there are more. As you know, ISIS is not only a military organization. ISIS is also an ideological organization. The ideology of ISIS has got some roots in some areas in Middle East.
Right. Here in Europe, you've met the German foreign minister, the French foreign minister, the NATO secretary general. Did you get...
Also the Belgian foreign minister.
The Belgian foreign minister. And did you get any guarantees that security will be beefed up, maybe to compensate for the US troop withdrawal because of the concerns you just mentioned?
In the first place, as for the US troops, we had very, very good discussions in Washington about how we are going to reorganize our relationship or reshape our relationship on the security matters. So the fight against ISIS is a priority in many of these places, in many capitals in the world, as well as in Baghdad. So we are going to cooperate on that field. But how are we going to reshape our security relationship? That's a different issue. So with the American, we agreed how we are going to do that, and we had good discussion with the Secretary General of NATO.
Less US troops, but no other troops.
There will be advisors. There will be units which can, foreign units, army units, which can give training to our forces, but there will be support to our forces inside Iraq. There will be cooperation.
Did you get some commitments here in Europe that there would be more support?
Yes, there is commitment. Okay. Because ISIS issue is not an Iraqi issue. It is an international issue.
Right. Obviously, Iraq has witnessed firsthand the tensions between the US and Iran. There was the US strike against Qasem Soleimani back in January. We've seen recently a spate of attacks that seemed aimed at US interests in Iraq. Are you still concerned that Iraq could be the place of a US-Iran proxy war?
It is unfortunate that the tension between Tehran and Washington is there. And then it is also unfortunate that the tension between these two capitals, sometimes it reflects itself in our society and on the Iraqi soil. We had good discussion in Tehran, my prime minister, and we were part of his delegation. We went to Tehran and we had good discussion and frank discussion with the Iranian side.
What did you tell them? To stop meddling?
We were also in Washington.
Did you tell both sides?
The main question for us as Iraqis, we want to protect the interests of the Iraqis. And we want to get far away from these tensions. And we hope that there will be a way for solving these tensions and dialogue will start between both sides, Washington and Tehran.
Did you ask and obtain some commitment from the Trump administration not to conduct a similar strike than the one you saw?
See, when we are talking about good discussion in Washington, and we had this discussion in the framework of strategic dialogue, we are talking about everything. And that's why I said we reached good understanding with Washington about these issues.
So was there such a commitment or not?
We had very good positive discussion with them.
I went to get to the tensions with Turkey. There were tensions when last month a Turkish drone killed 3 Iraqi military officers. You and other senior Iraqi officials said that this was unacceptable. Have you been able to come to a better understanding with Turkey? And is there a possibility that your Turkish counterpart might visit Baghdad soon?
Turkey is one of the most important neighboring countries for Iraq, as the Iranian and other neighboring countries. We want to have good relationship with Turkey. And in fact, if we are going back to the past, the relationship between Baghdad and Ankara was very good. And it was unfortunate that this attack happened and military operation started. But we started to approach Ankara. And we hope that we will begin soon with a new stage of dialogue. And it is true that my Prime Minister has been invited to Ankara to start discussions with the Turkish officials, but at the same time we invited the Minister of Foreign Affairs to come to Baghdad to prepare the ground for this discussion.
And this is going to happen soon?
We hope so.
Right. You don't want any Turkish military bases in Iraq anymore?
We are talking about Iraqi sovereignty.
But there are military troops in
when we are talking about Iraqi sovereignty, that means Iraq must be protected. And you see any existence of any foreign troops on Iraqi soil.
But we know they're there.
Must be on the basis of agreement between both sides. And you are right, they are there. But that can be part of the dialogue which we will start. That issue can be part of that.
I understand. A couple of days ago in Washington, there was a deal signed between Israel, Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates. The Palestinians said it was a betrayal. Do you share their position and do you condemn this deal?
The Iraqi policy is clear. We are committed to the resolutions of the Arab Top Conference, the one which was organized in Beirut in 2002, and the latest one which was organized by the Iraqi government in 2012. We are, as for this issue, we are committed to the resolutions of the Arab Top Conference.
So it's a betrayal of the Palestinian cause?
I'm talking about we are committed to what we agreed about.
Right. Donald Trump says 7 or 8 Arab countries are in line to normalize relations with Israel. Is Iraq one of them? Has he asked you to do so?
No, Iraq, I am not aware of how many countries is online to reach this agreement, but Iraq is a different country. We have got a parliament, we have got many political parties. And at the end, foreign policy, in principle, is a reflection of the internal politics. So it is up to Iraqi people to decide anything. And the foreign policy is part of the decision of Iraqi people and Iraqi parliament.
Speaking of Iraqi people and Iraqi parliament, the Prime Minister has announced that there would be early elections. I understand in the discussions you've had here in Europe was a demand of European assistance, maybe to ensure that those elections are transparent, because we know the political crisis in Iraq is partly, or some might say largely, based in the feeling by many Iraqis that the elections are not transparent and therefore the parliament not legitimate.
I'm not talking about the parliament is not legitimate. The parliament is legitimate, but our people, they were not satisfied with the last election. And there were many comments by many political parties about that and about the result, about the process. So the next election, which will be next year, we hope that we can organize it in a different way. And one of the topics that I dealt with my colleagues in Europe and various organizations, but also I talked with the European Union officials, European Parliament, to send observers to when the process of the election will start, because having observers and international observers, European observers, that will create a kind of trust between the people of Iraq and the political parties, and also between the people of Iraq and the process of the election. We are desperately in need for a transparent process of election so that the results must be fair, and then a new government will be based on that result. And then that will increase the trust between the people and the government, and that's indeed what we need in Iraq.
And was the response favorable here in Europe?
It was favorable everywhere.
Everyone. Fuad Hussein, I want to thank you very much for granting us some of your precious time here in Paris, the last leg of your European tour. Thank you very much for watching this interview here on France 24.